5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for holding a hearing on my bill, H.R. 1264, the Community Financial Institution Exemption Act, and all of the important legislation that we're discussing today. You know, it's not easy to force a regulatory agency to do what they already should be doing, but H.R. 1264 seeks to put the burden of proof on the CFPB. For new regulations, community institutions will be exempt until the CFPB makes a written, detailed finding that they should not be included. In other words, either keep community institutions out of these massive rules or put pen to paper and tell us why they are including community banks and credit unions. The bill would also require the CFPB to consult with primary regulators of community institutions as to whether new rules should go forward or if an exemption should exist. Finally, nothing in the bill would prevent the CFPB from revisiting current rules to determine if new exemptions are justified. My bill is simple. My bill is straightforward. And I hope the committee will consider my legislation, that my friends on the other side of the aisle, as my good friend, let the record show my good buddy, David Scott, has indicated they will work with us to create a workable exemption. Now, if not, we don't do that, I'm afraid our community institutions are going to keep disappearing, and customers and borrowers alike are going to suffer in the long run. So with the remaining time, I'd like to ask a few questions. Mr. Fisher, first of all, congratulations on your 5th-generation business. I operate a 3rd-generation business, and I want to thank you for being here today. Community banks and credit unions are the backbone of Main Street America, and in my 45 years of experience as a small business owner, I can say without a doubt that community financial institutions are major drivers of this nation's economy. But the sad truth is one credit union or community bank is going out of business each working day. It's unbelievable here in America because of incredible regulatory burden. I would like to ask you about my piece of legislation, the Community Financial Institution Exemption Act, which you have spoken about, and the effect that it could have on Main Street. First, though, in your experience, would you say that in the past 8 years the regulatory burden on your institution has grown substantially?
I would say it has definitely mushroomed. It has expanded exponentially.
All right. And do you feel that the CFPB should have included broader exemptions for smaller institutions in that time frame?
Yeah, I'm not sure that the CFPB has effectively used the Section 1022 exemption to exempt different financial institutions from the purview of some of their laws.
Do you feel like this legislation will have a positive impact on Main Street?
I think this would have a tremendous impact on Main Street.
I've got another question for you. I'm concerned the CFPB, as it behaved under former Director Cordray, actively sought to increase regulation, no matter the cost to communities and the consequences of its actions. So with that being said, do you think that requiring a written finding for new rules before they go into effect, if at all, would force the CFPB to stop and think if these rules are truly necessary for community institutions?
Most certainly. I mean, they would have to prove, you know, the burden of proof is on the CFPB at that point. So.
And finally, will my proposal effectively help community financial institutions to thrive and to grow in number rather than be crushed under burdensome regulations they currently are?
I would find that to be very helpful, yes.
Thank you for your testimony.